is in the amount of $1,521.59, and that's taking care of Christmas, the Christmas gifts for the children, supplies as such, public events, and for the Rainbow Room, which is the room that we operate, or the facility we keep here that provides emergency clothing for these children when unfortunately they're removed from their homes. More than clothing, clothes, toiletries, suitcases. I never want any child to have the degrading experience of having to put their clothes in a trash sack, neither do these folks. So they go to they try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. So I thank the people of the Hill County CPS board for the great work they do, for another fine report. So this is the Hill County CPS. Second. We have a motion and a second to observe and record the Hill County CPS Treasurer's Report for December 2022. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 18, discussion and or presentation on radios. Mr. Chris Jackson, Hill County Radio Administrator. All right.
Is this another semi-board discussion?
Oh, you want to no preview on this one. So let's talk about what we've got. We have a situation whereby there is no cell phone company, not AT&T, not Verizon, not T-Mobile. There's no cell phone company that works in every single part of this county. However, our radio system has to. Our public safety radio system has to work in every part of this county. For many years, we've had a terrible problem. There's a geographical formation in the far west side, northwest side of the county. Think of it as the Nolan River Ridge, about 720 some odd feet. We have trouble getting over that in the Chisholm Trail. We have trouble getting into Blum. You can't talk inside the buildings, the Blum ISD. Gentlemen, ladies in the audience, it is incumbent upon us to do those things that we can, and we can support school safety. And that's become a hot topic because of some terrible tragedies recently. One of those things that we did when we installed this new system is we made multiple different talk groups. So one radio system, but you can have multiple different talk groups. And Chris will take you in detail about this. One of those talk group setups are for different school districts. So they have the ability to communicate with themselves and with us. You can't use your cell phone inside one of ISD's buildings. We can't radio out at the end of the 1104 loop. How we do that currently is we have an officer going down 1104 loop. My understanding, to let dispatch know the time. Dispatch set the timer for X number of minutes, and they've not heard from that officer X number of minutes. We know we need to go send somebody for them. When we go down to Chisholm Trail Park, I was with Tom with the radios. You get down into Chisholm Trail Park. Let's just say that's not always a friendly crowd down there, folks. And there's no way to communicate back out. So with that platform, I give you Mr. Chris Jackson, radio administrator, and what we have today.
So he covered and summarized a lot of it, but so I'm gonna give you just a quick presentation as to what we have, what we need, why we're coming back again to ask for more money. So currently with the county system, like the judge said, we deployed it, we've seen the radio deficiencies, we've had coverage studies done. We have issues everywhere in the city of Blum, down 933, once you pass 934, down State Highway 174, down 1104 loop to the trail, essentially the whole northwestern side of the county north of 934. Obviously it impacts the portable radio coverage the most, but it impacts mobile, which is the in-car radios as well once you get north of 934. We have gone with the Harris Engineer Team, which is the company that provides the radio system that we have. We've had numerous studies done. We've had them identify key points to place a tower. We've pretty much exhausted it, and we're down to our final leg. So we've checked everything from the Blum Water Tower, the Woodrow Water Tower, which we both have existing equipment on right now for our VHF system. We've looked at the old Precinct 1 barn location in the town of Blum. We've checked with NextLink on their towers around Blum. We've found towers up that are in the across from Arnold Customs. Yeah, they have an old tower up there. All these places they've done coverage studies and they've deemed them either too costly to revamp them to make them work, or just the coverage doesn't get us what we need to get. So currently, while we were driving back, Tom actually noticed an Encore tower. And we found out through Encore, right now, they're giving us verbal permission. We don't have anything set in stone yet. Once they give us that information, if the court approves this, then we'll come back to the court.
Where is that tower?
It is off of 11. Shoot. I have a picture of it. I'll show you exactly. in just a minute. But they've given us tentative permission to use their tower at no cost.
And that's get our equipment inside of their tower building, get antennas on the tower, electricity, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, so there
Instead of generating.
there may be a small cost to make the tower work for our equipment, because the tower's already there now.
Mhm.
It's already up, they have radio equipment on it. But to add our stuff, there may be a small cost for the contractor to come out there to make the tower ready for that, but we have funds in what we're proposing, just a second. So we currently have two options to fix the issues in Blunt. Option A is what we're going to push for, and that's the add a tower, build a tower, do whatever we have to do. Right now, it's joining Encore's tower. Option B is one that's not pawned by anybody, but it is an option, and it is the cheaper option. Option B is to replace the sheriff's office operations patrol handheld radios with a Harris XL 185P with LTE. What that means is we would take all those Motorola radios that they have now, repurpose those within Hill County, switch them out with a different model make radio that is LTE capable. And now we are using cellular instead of RF, which is what the towers today. It fixes the solution temporarily until the county grows and there's a reoccurring.
But there is a cost with it.
Yes.
Yeah, and the other thing I see with that option too, and I've had the benefit of these discussions with both Chris and Tom for some time. The problem with the LTE is what I said a minute ago. There's no one cell phone that covers the entirety of the county. There's places AT&T doesn't work, there's places Verizon doesn't work. So if we utilize that option, it puts us at the mercy of third-party carrier. Do they have service in that area that day or not? While it is cheaper up front, over a 10-year period, it's more expensive because of the recurring cost. But I want the commissioners to have all the information we looked at. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
And what the, like just the judge said, different carriers have different coverages. So our radio system covers more than just Hill County. We do police work in more than just Hill County. We get in chases, we go outside of Hill County. So adding a third tower where we're proposing fixes dead zones in over 600 square miles. Mind you, Hill County is on 186. 600 square miles. It is ridiculous the amount of coverage we have. Now, mind you, that number is propagated off of mobile coverage, not handheld coverage. So that's a higher watt radio in your car. The square miles, the what we call propagation maps you're about to see, and the statistics are just projections. They're not guaranteed numbers, they're not guaranteed coverage. If you look here, so this is our current radio system that we have right now. Everywhere you see in blue are dead zones. These are areas where they do not have radio coverage on handheld. And all these maps you can see are based off of handheld coverage, not in-car coverage. So your in-car coverage is going to be a little better, but this is all handheld. So anywhere you see blue, they're going to get more zoomed in as we go.
That yellow line represents Hill County's county boundary?
Yes.
Okay, okay, good, thank
And
you.
then the small one here. So this line is Hill County. The orange, I'm gonna go back and forth here. So you see all blue?
Mhm.
The orange is the coverage dead zones with a third tower. So a lot of the blue went away. There's very few dead zones.
So how much of that is, yeah, let's go ahead, you get the blown map next. All right, good.
So now we're gonna focus just on Hill County. So again, this is blue is dead zones. Same picture, very little. And then we're gonna get even closer. So in Hill County alone, it resolves 60 square miles. So you can see the Encore Tower in relation to Blum. So
Okay,
this is your one. One right here. That triangle is right over the Encore.
okay, so it's off the 933 axis then?
Yes.
Okay,
It's 300 foot tall.
oh, it's a heck of a tower.
Yeah. So again, going back and forth, you see the blue there, top left,
All that blue goes away.
all that blue goes away. Now, all the dead zones, for the most part, are either in a rock quarry or outside of our county.
Okay, so really what our problem has been all along is what it seems to that geographic formation, or geological formation, forgive me, where the Nolan River comes down in that valley. And that's where we're not being able to get sick. Okay.
Or that Chisholm Trail. on that Previous slide.
Chisholm Trail,
For those of you guys not familiar with Chisholm Trail, let me describe it in one way. It's so bad down there. The meth heads, they stole the overhead power lines. I don't mean from the transformer to the building. I mean, they literally disappeared with the distribution lines off the poles.
Even like in Stammer Valley,
I don't think
down in low, you would have a section down in there,
so most of Steiner Valley, yes.
if you're up on the hill. But if you're down in below.
So Steiner Valley right here only has coverage issues along the water line.
Mhm.
Most of the actual ranch roads and everything is actually covered.
Mhm.
That ridge is 825 feet elevation. Chisholm Trail is 545 elevation. And it's just. They just don't make, they told us the only way that we could possibly guarantee coverage in Chisholm Trail Park would be put a tower in Chisholm Trail Park. And I would take it along and stay there.
It'd be a price- it'd be a week.
So again, this is now getting really zoomed in on Blum. You see the square in the top right corner, that's actually the city of Blum, and then the lines on the yellow lines on the left is the county lines. To what it would be with the third Encore tower.
So this third tower that you're talking about in option A, that's the Encore tower.
Yes, sir. So currently in Blum, mobile coverage is 82.1%. The portable coverage right now is 38.6 outdoors and 6.9 indoors. So that is on our current radio system. With the third tower being Encore, our mobile coverage goes to 95%, portable coverage goes to 96%, and indoor coverage goes to 68%. So this is gonna be really hard to see. Last time I was in court, this TV was much bigger.
Yeah, no, I agree. I recall it being.
So-
like that too.
You can see that here is topography where it has to get from point A to point B. And this is why we're having issues. So right here, this line right here is 678 feet, whereas this over here is 741 feet. So during its strip, it goes down, over, down, big hill. And it's just simply with our current radio system, can't get from point A to point B.
Is there a line that covers on the map?
There will be a second. So right now, this is where the signal is coming from all the way in Blum. It's coming from the Buda Park, central, Cloud Tower. So it's very hard to see, but there is a line right here in blue. So this is the first point of where the signal has to go over the big hill. It makes this one fine. This is now where we're beside the cliffs, whatever you want to call it, Sounder Valley. So this is where it's having to go. The elevation drops to 522 feet and shoots back up to 680 feet above sea level. Well, the elevation is at 580 feet. So again, it went up, down, and then it's about to go back up again. Whereas Chisholm Trail is at 700, it varies between 659 feet to 714 feet. Yeah. So what we're asking is commissioners to let us go forward further with option A. And of course, grant us the permission to go forth with it and get what we need done. We've asked for $240,000 for option A. The option B costs $123,000. Mind you, $5,400 of that is a reoccurring every year service for AT&T. And that was only based off of 30 radios. So as time goes on and those radio numbers increase, that reoccurring yearly fee will increase. And I know the sheriff's office is completely against that, as well as many others. But option A is for $240,000. 230 of that is for the radio infrastructure, $10,000 is reserve funds. As anything with towers, we start running into surprises sometimes. So this is the quote from Daily Wells for the radio infrastructure and everything. And like we said, we expect there to be some minor costs when it comes to retrofitting the tower to be able to have our equipment on it. And right now, we don't know what that is yet, but that's why we've asked for the $10,000 on top of the radio infrastructure.
One caveat to this, Daily Wells is drastically decreased all of the system to help us get this done, because when we originally did our study, while it outperforms in some areas, it underperforms in this area. And they really are good partners, and they have really stepped up to try to help us make this happen. So if we put this off at a later time, it's money that.
The reason I can entertain it at this time is because we have a bit of a windfall coming our way financially. So the ARPA funds you guys are familiar with, we've got the COVID funds and we have the ARPA funds. As part of the ARPA plan, there's additional monies coming this way that you guys allowed me to apply for back in November of last year. What that is the state and tribal land. Basically, if you have either federal lands or tribal lands in your jurisdiction, that jurisdiction being a county in the United States, there is an additional formulary grant that comes out X number of dollars. It's $250,000 is what's coming our way on that. Now that comes in two tranches, one in this year, 125, and one next year. If it wasn't for that, I would go the same thing we just said about the JP. I ain't got the money for it. I don't know where it's coming from because we didn't budget for it originally. We knew that there was going to be deficiencies when we did this up front. We had those conversations with both Motorola and with Harris, L3 Harris. So this is not a surprise in the least. It's the ability that we have to address it. And previously we didn't have the money to address it, but I do see where we can get the funding to address it. My preference is option A, and let me be clear why that is. While option B is cheaper up front, over time it has the ability to get very costly. But more importantly than that is what we stated first. These devices are wonderful, they're awesome, but they don't work everywhere in Hill County. And there is no single coverage, no single carrier that provides universal coverage in this county. So there are other deficiency areas in the county. They're not near as bad as this. They're not. Most everything we can talk to on mobile, that is a car mounted unit, has more wattage. The handhelds get more limited in the southeast corner. Those aren't something that we need to address right away. But the fact that there's no single carrier that covers the whole county, say if we go LTE for AT&T, not to disparage nice people at AT&T if you're watching. You know, who's to say it's going to work here and there? I don't think the LTE is our best option. It is an option, but it's not our best option. When I tasked Chris with going out and finding information, give me the specific, give me some hard facts. What does this look like? What do the numbers look like? What do the coverage look like? And he showed you what that is today. I think that we have the opportunity to address this as a matter of public safety. I would like to see you gentlemen address this as your information that you guys need to help make a decision.
So Chris, you said that I'm still confused about if Encore is going to let us use their tower, then how does that, is that temporary?
No,
So
they
that's
will,
permanent.
yes, they will draw up a contract, and once that contract is received, it will be brought before the court.
So then how does the $240,000 for option A figure into that? If that solves our problem, why are we spending another $240,000? Or do I not understand?
So they are allowing us to use their tower. That is just the house to the equipment. $230,000 of that is for the actual equipment from L3 Harris to put in and on their tower
Okay.
for our radio.
That's not another tower. That's just the equipment that goes in.
Just equipment to make,
Yes.
just equipment to make the radios work.
Just for comparison, guys, if we had to erect our own tower, let's say we could erect it right next to theirs, what would it cost us roughly?
230,000 is what we spent on the tower here.
Just the tower.
Just the tower.
And it'd be twice that for the equipment.
Right, that's nothing on the tower.
No,
That's just.
That was 10 years ago and the building. was-
Yes, that was 10 years.
Yeah, that was a grant. We paid for the current radio tower, with a grant from our council governments.
If we did another
300 for
Oh, no, I've been sitting here 6 years. We've been having this problem ever since I came on here.
Yes, sir.
We spent $42,000 to put little boxes in all the vehicles when I first started. That didn't work. I don't know what all we spent on that since then. I'm ready for something to work. I'm tired of chunking money at this thing.
I agree.
I can tell you firsthand, just going, I mean, I can't tell you how many miles I have driven testing the radio system. And I will tell you the biggest shock that I had was the fact of down on the 1304 and the Brazos River, the place that has been notorious. No radio system has worked down there. It is a black hole for radio system. It is a black hole for cell phone service. This radio system works. Outside of Blum, there are some other areas that have minor deficiencies, but it works everywhere else in this county that we have tested. And I mean, we've driven it everywhere. And not only us, Daily Wells has sent a team down here to drive the whole county and done coverage verification, verifying that the propagation study that was given to us matches what actually was verified in the field, and everything matched. So the pictures you just saw of Hill County and everything, those have been verified. As far as the blue ones, the orange ones, those have not been verified in the field yet, power to verify with, but all the blue ones have actually been verified, not only by me, by other users. I mean, the sheriff's office is on this for the most part. There's Covington Fire Departments on this new radio system. So I mean, people have been verifying the coverage and the fact that it's working.
Make a motion, we do, option A.
Because where did the money come from?
Contingent upon,
That's,
contingent upon the receipt of funds.
No, the
Well-
funds are coming.
COVID,
We don't-
COVID or whatever.
here's what I'm gonna propose, gentlemen, and this is a far cry from it. We're going to have to borrow half of the money from ourselves. And then when this money comes back from the feds, pay back like we did for precinct 1 before your time. When we did for precinct 1, when we bought that barn, I cannot see going out to rent money and incur a sizable, we have a sizable.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring capital, I'm not gonna bring a bank in. We loan it to ourselves out of the capital fund, or out of our unbudgeted reserve, or budgeted reserve, actually. We do have a pretty healthy one. It's just a matter of, it would be a journal entry for us to say that we're going to pay this back as money comes back to the second.
Next motion.
Just make a motion, as you're going.
Go ahead.
Scotty, for you, in full disclosure, part of the plan going forward is we went to a meeting last week. And T has mandated that we have full coverage in the school. The radio system has to work in the school. What I am looking for right now is funds to put another monopole tower at your barn to cover that into the county. But it will only pursue that once we get grants funds from somewhere to cover the entirety of the cost.
And let me explain that, why that is. It works currently, we can get better coverage, but by working with a regional like the COG, suddenly when we bring in more than one county into it, it makes us eligible for grant monies that we normally wouldn't be eligible for just by ourselves. And interoperability of communications, emergency communications is a huge part of the grant funding that we're still seeing that stream come from the feds. Some of these other things have dried up. We think that we can still apply for that. And as the governor goes forth, the legislature's in session, and they put additional duties on the schools, they're at some point going to require these schools to really start spending some serious money they don't have. I know that we're not the school systems. I get that. We're not the ISCs. We don't have the ability to step in for them. There are certain things that we do well natively, like this radio system, that we believe that we can continue over time to improve it. So if there is a requirement from the state that it works indoors in every single school in Penelope and every single school in Mount Palm and every single school in Hubbard, that might be an expansion at a later date down there. Do we need that right now to cover public safety? No. Our mobile units work down there. They work like they should. What Tom is talking about is possible future expansion that will only be done if we can obtain the grant funding for it. It's not going to be something out of our budget here. Sorry, I just want to clarify that.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that, because I mean, we've talked communication, like you said, since we talk communication. When I retire and when you retire, because it never changed.
Oh, I know.
But I just want you to be aware of some of the conversations that we had.
We don't want the commissioners to think we're nickel and diming, that we're coming for
No,
a penny.
I appreciate what you're saying, but we're looking for the road. And I know your problem up there, because I know my truck drivers, when they're in that area, it's driving me nuts, but you cannot talk to them, so.
The great thing is we have a channel on the system for your trucks.
For your trucks. So we can put these radios at some cost into your trucks. And you will have your own talk group on this system. So, you know, historically on the VHF, you keyed it up and you got Bill County Dispatch. That's not the case with the way this works. You can do that, but we can also create multiple, I don't know how many hundreds of talk groups, unlimited, almost, well, but some almost unlimited. You can create talk groups. If we want to create a precinct one talk group and we put the mobile radios in each one of your trucks, you would be able to communicate off of these towers in this system. Same thing, precinct 3, precinct 4. You know, we have right now, we have SO, multiple different SO talk groups. We have emergency management talk group. I can't even go through all. Hillsborough PD's coming on board with us. We're truly trying to make this a countywide communication system. It's not the old limited to just the SO and then the fire people. We're bringing everybody on board so we can communicate better. That just, I should point that out while we're doing this. This isn't just limited to police and fire. It is also talk groups for others out there.
And
IT has a-
we have a meeting
Yes.
this week with Texas Department of Emergency Management. They are so impressed with our system, what we've been able to accomplish in Hill County. There's been a real divide that Texas Department of Emergency Management, DPS. They're no longer on the DPS radio system. And when I had my conversation this week with them, they were saying they need a radio system that will work across the state. I said, well, why stop across the state? I can go to China and talk on our radio system with my radio for China. So they're coming up here to talk to us and look at what we've done for an interoperable system within our state of Texas.
We have a motion to second. Is there further discussion on this issue? All right, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Appreciate that. We'll keep you
It
gentlemen.
was a good presentation.
It was a good presentation. All right, let's go on through some rest of this. Number 19, discussion and approve Hill County submission for the grant application for Hill County 800 trunking radios. That's grant number 4748501 to the Office of the Governor. I would like to make a motion to do this. This money is to buy additional radios, not the system itself. But every time we see a grant for radios from now on, we're pretty much going to ask you to apply for it.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? Motion is going to carry unanimously. I'm going to sign off on this. This is the 24th day of January. Okay. Next is observe and record reports from the fee offices. You can see where those fee offices in your packet. You will find that if you've had a chance to review them. If so, let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, I can tell you that we're coming up on our heavy collections time of year. You look at what these were for December or for November 22. We'll get December probably next month, next meeting. And then it's really going to be a change when you see January 23s. So entertain a motion to observe and record. Motion and a second to observe and record the monthly report for fee offices. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. Number 21, discussion and approve for county auditor to apply for the FY22 state criminal alien. I forget what the second A stands for. Assistance, thank you. I always forget the second A and you know it. A program, this is a grant we apply for each year. It's a formula grant that lays out, we get a small amount of money from the state for all the hard work we do for them.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion and a second to approve county auditor apply for the FY22 SCAP funds. Any further questions? What's that? Oh, I thought I messed something up. I was like, you need to say something now. I'm moving. Okay, cool. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Number 22. So 22, 23, 24, and 25 are all plats that we've had. All of these plats have gone through the plat committee. They've met our process, been reviewed by the appropriate committee and recommended to this court for their approval. So the plat is preliminary plat for Riley Estates. Riley Estates is a plat that is found. This is Mr. Chris Acker. He's the guy that has that second across the street from White Bluff. The Palm Court, whatever that is. So his request, and this is we did a subdivision up in precinct 1 a couple of years ago. A gentleman came in, it's just south, it's on the east side of 933, just south of White Bluff, and he paved the road from one end to the other. This is a portion of land that abuts that road and is in the same area. And it's gone through our committee for approval for preliminary plat.
Motion approved.
Motion is second to approve a preliminary plat for Riley's Estates. Any questions regarding Riley's Estates? Knowing that it's a preliminary plat, this will come back for further discussion as a final plat due to some drainage concern. I call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 23 is a minor plat. As you may recall, a minor plat is whereby a property owner is divesting themselves of 1 to 3 lots, but retaining 25% of the original lot, and there is no proposed construction of roads or drainage. This is
2114.
yes, sir. That's it. We've gone back and forth a good bit on this one. We finally, everybody's satisfied. And this is on the corner of FM 2114 in the very southern part, like county line southern part, and County Road 2226.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minor plat for Chapman Ranch 1. Any further commentary? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The next is something unusual, and that is I'm asking for both a preliminary plat and a final as a second option. Let me explain why that is. Normally, when we do a plat like this, it would actually be considered minor. However, this time, the individual that's the landholder is divesting themselves of all of the property. So they're basically taking a larger property, cutting it into 3 tracts. One very large tract that's outside of our purview, more than 10 acres, and 2 smaller tracts. Normally, this would fall under a minor plat. No roads, no nothing like that, no drainage being built. And we'd approve it in a single setting. However, since this doesn't meet the letter of that, we've required them to go through the preliminary plat process and then the final plat. What's going to happen? They're going to sell the 2 pieces by the road that are under 10 acres. The remaining tract in the back, we have an easement across a neighbor who has under contract. We've seen the contract for that. They're going to purchase the back part of that property. So I'm going to ask you guys to approve a preliminary and then the final in the same meeting. What's the difference if we wait until next meeting? Exactly 0, because there's no roads that need to be built. There's no drainage needs to be complied with. And we've talked with all parties here, and the plat committee recommends approving it like this. You won't see this very often where we have a preliminary and a final at the same meeting. We believe in this case, it's the equitable thing to do. So
There's an easement carved out to access the back property.
correct. So the property owner do eat.
We actually held it up because of that. And happened.
Yeah, we made him jump through some hoops, but as being an old landman, a really young landman, I remember that. I want to show you what we've got. So here's the property in question. It's right here off of 934 and well, I don't know what the side road there is. Anyway, this is a different property. This is the wrong one. This is a different one. We're gonna do this twice. This is Sanchez. This is the one where the guy came down originally and yes, sir. Go ahead. Tell us what you got real quick.
Thank you. My name is Omar Sanchez, represent.
Yeah, come on up. But the acoustics in this room are terrible. Forgive us. Metal ceiling and wooden floor doesn't work well for voices.
Thank you. My name is Omar Sanchez. I'm one of the landowners along with my first cousin, Jerry Santana.
Mhm.
We're looking just to build a homestead, a family homestead and a family farm, very small, to raise children, to grow up together, have community. And we're looking to cut out 3 1-acre lots for purposes of lending. The banks need to be able to validate their investment. So they asked us to carve out 3 1-acre lots for 3 separate home builds that are going to be conventionally financed. And the road that's there is just a private road, again, just so the bank can validate independent access to the county road with also easements for the water line. So you have 3 separate homes on a 13-acre tract.
And we're not building any new roads. We're not doing any drainage. Just going to do the same as the other one we're going to bring you off 2959. Sorry. We have found a loop in we need to address this in a revision of subdivision rules, so we don't have to do this process for these. I'm not certain what that looks like yet, but under the current rules of 2019, unfortunately, we have to do the preliminary and the final plat on this, because the way it's getting sectioned off, this is what the plat committee has recommended we do. The county surveyor, Mr. Jesse Ince, is also our engineer from time to time, reviewed this, and he's in agreement. This is the way to move forward. As you can see on a preliminary plat, what we look at is we have the contour lines. All these things are required to show where floodplains are. You'll notice there's certificates of certification from the owners, their signatures. You're going to see the legend over here, duties of developer and the property owner, their indemnity language, they indemnify ours. The private sewage facility, so addressing concerns of on-site septic facility or OSSF with the TECQ. We have all of our 30-foot setbacks. There's no right-of-way dedication. The floodplain statement is here. I'm going to say these Tucker surveyors did a pretty good job. So anyway, sorry about the confusion on the first part. Long take. All right. Questions on the preliminary plat for Sanchez Estates?
Need a motion?
We do.
Make a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat for Sanchez Estates. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Number 25, discuss to approve final plat for Sanchez Estates. Again, I apologize for confusing the two of these. There is another one coming before us, kind of like this, I believe. So
Make a motion to approve the final.
motion and a second to approve the final plat for Sanchez Estates. Any other questions? Hearing none, I should call meeting question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion will carry. And the reason I'm taking this time to hold this map this way, I'm going to pass it around right now to get some signatures on it. And the clerk can then file this document.
We need to sign all those.
Two of them, just the top two. I'm, this is the final, right? This is preliminary, no preliminary. Say what? All right, the court, we're gonna take care of this, we'll get through it all, make sure you get it done right. It's fine, we'll have it done by the end of the day. And we'll get it over to the clerk's office, and so if you've got any additional fees or anything, you need to let him know about that. All right,
Thank you, Your Honor.
yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Number 26, presentation, discussion, action for Post Oak water supply. I'm guessing that's why you're here. I mean, it can't be the enthralling discussions we've had today.
Judge Lewis and commissioners and Madam Clerk, thank you for letting me speak. I'm actually here for Post Oak because way back when Judge McGregor became Judge McGregor, I took over Post Oak, what was being called Water Supply
Your
Corporation
name?
from him.
Your name?
Dwight Constable, I'm sorry. Yeah. I worked with his wife many times, but anyway.
So you understand what we have to deal with.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the situation is such that last 6 years or so, I also took over their administrative office. So from my home in Dallas, I kind of watch out after the administrative office down there in Hubbard. And so that's the reason I'm making this presentation. Judge Lewis knows more, I'm sure, about the community development block grants than I do. So if you would tell us quickly about those, I'd appreciate it.
Well, quickly, so every year, and Megan, you're welcome to cast shade on many parties get rogue, because I know you're the actually expert in this room on this thing. The federal government, and through our local council of governments, makes available to us what's called CBDG, or Community Block Development Grants. A community block development grant requires a political subdivision as one of the parties for the application. Post Oak Water Supply not being a political subdivision of the state. We've done this for Brandon Irene, Woodrow Osceola. We maybe Aquila Water Supply Corp, not the district. We've done it for a couple over the years, but basically we act as agent for that party so that they can go forward. And by agent, I don't mean this fiduciary agent. We're not taking the money and dealing it out, to my understanding. We're helping them in the application for this grant. What does this project entail? What are you guys looking to try to
Let
do?
me show you real quickly.
No, thank you, sir.
The first part of this is just explanations about Post Oak. We have 1,000 rural water customers altogether. We're in 3 different counties. We have, we also serve the city of Coolidge, Texas in full. We're the backup supply for the city of Hubbard and the city, pretty soon for the city of Malone also. And there's a possibility of contracting with Byron WSC also.
Okay.
So if you look down here to item number 6, there are multiple projects which are not included in a proposed project that we have with the rural development. Among possible projects which would go under the community development block grants would be running an 8-inch main from Hubbard westward westward along SH 31, approximately 2 miles to FM 936. The current 6-inch line will not handle the existing 202 connections plus near-term growth. Another possible project would be replacing various small water lines not included in the USDA project in order to reduce water loss. So there's 2 potential projects at least.
Okay.
So-
I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Well, just in summary, basically, we need you guys to more or less endorse us for this, you might say. And so if you would do that, then I would get with Judge Lewis and we would start the process. I would get you an order and then I would ask you about grant consultants and all those kinds of things and go forward from there.
So
Okay, guys, the grant would go on our grant list.
I need to look
On our
at,
single audit, I think it did before when we did withdraw LCO.
I don't remember, but if it is, we've got that covered. Yes, sir, go ahead. Mr.
does Navarro and Limestone participate in the application process as well? Or is it just need a bell cow in Hill County to start that?
Well, first of all, our outside manager is named Robert Mathis. He's having a procedure in Pennsylvania, basically a medical procedure in Pennsylvania right now. But he has contacted each of the 3 counties that we're in about potential of applying for grants and so forth. Limestone County did give us just directly $75,000 last year for a generator. That was not under this kind of program. But we are looking at other counties also. But we kind of have a home affiliation with Hill County in a way because of a lot of reasons.
I encourage the water supply corporations in Hill County, those holders of certificates of convenience and necessity to come to us and obtain our help with this. You know, people ask all the time, why did Hill County ever grow? Why is Hill County take money? Some people want to say this family or that family or these politics. It goes back 10,000 years. It's one thing, it's water. We don't have water. The Plains Indians didn't have settlements off the major rivers around here. Our first town, Hillsborough, was after Jack's Branch on what now goes into the Aquila Lake. Here we have water table that's pretty shallow. The rest of our towns come along on the railroad shut down. We've had limitations in water. Kind of been a major advance. We've kind of gone up a little bit. After World War II, we could drill down in the Trinity Sands and get those deep waters. We're starting to tap those things out. And we have several water supply corporations in Hill County right now that cannot hand out a new meter. I know I don't want to doom and gloom dire situation, but our infrastructure for water has not kept up with the need that we have. And there's a couple of opportunities that come along economically out of the governor's office that we've had to say, King's X, we cannot provide you that amount of water we need. I know that there's a lot of cities that rely on Post Oak water supply as a backup supply, which unfortunately is more often than not used to more likely than they'd like. So you see a lot of things going on in Hill County right now related to water, and the city of Public got some things going on. They have a particularly terrible issue. Their mineral water, so mineral it closes inside their pipes. City of Mount Calm is an issue with a water tower they've been working on some time. Chat Water Supply down here to South Abbott, wonderful gentlemen, but they're limited. They can't put additional meters on. As the population continues to come to us, one of the things that we're going to struggle with is where do we get the water to serve them from? So there's no guarantees they get this grant. They have to apply for it like the rest of the world. It's a right choice grant. We don't have a ringer, but we do have some people in the audience that can help with that sometimes. So
That is what caused Hill County to shut down a lot of development now.
yeah, and I would tell you, there's subdivisions that we're turning away because they can't guarantee us they can get water for the owners.
This paper has some impressive numbers on it, but just to give you more overview.
Oh, yeah, you would know.
They basically run from just south of Bynum, 3 miles south of Bynum to Penelope, all the way to Limestone County. You either have Post Oak or Byron. And they cover a lot of area. Basically the southern, the east
Southern
part of
east.
the county of my precinct is Post Oak. And it's a lot of area they cover.
And then south.
And a lot of development going on around.
So what I would request from action on the commissioners today, if you gentlemen be so inclined, is to there's that. Well, we just saw the motion. I don't recall. So the motion on this is to allow the county to support and help Post Oak Water Supply apply for a community block development grant. Okay, so that's your motion. Yes. Second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? We'll get together. Mr. Carmark will be in contact with us. This week is not a good one because of the county fair. Next week, I'll be in Lubbock. If you send me emails, we'll get it going.
You know, Jamie Dudick,
Yes.
she said she knew you were gonna be out there. She works for me now, basically.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got hunted down by another water supply out there yesterday, so
Okay.
I'm being too predictable in my patterns. I understand.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Pursuant 27, so we can get on down the line here. This is the letter from our engagement letter from Tiller Brown and Hill. As you will recall, every 5 years roughly, we go out for bid for an outside auditor. We have an internal auditor, but this person audits the auditor and does a lot of other things. So our longtime last auditor, he retired, and we wish him the best of luck in retirement. I follow him on Facebook. It looks like he's having a high time in retirement. He's doing quite well. That being said, we put out RFP and we received bids. Patillo Brown Hill was the low bidder on this. And now they have presented their engagement letter. Their anticipated start time to do the audit from this last fiscal year is March of this year, I understand it. So I would recommend the court that we approve the said engagement letter with Patillo Brown and Hill for the fiscal year 22 audit. Okay, we have a motion and second. Is there any further questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? The motion is going to carry. That being said, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551087, we will convene, the Hill County Commissioners Court will convene into executive session regarding economic development negotiations. At this time, I would request that all members of the audience exit the room, but our county attorney stay with us, the four commissioners, our auditor, and of course, the representatives from the city of Hillsborough, Ms. Megan Henderson and Mr. Art Mann. We'll